Don't think they have either. No, not from recent memory, or in memory of this season at the very least. Of course, wasn't out last season, so no chance of them playing it back then. But this time round, let's see what they try and bring out. In week one, we saw a lot of teams playing on this. One that really harks back to me was Mosaic coming up against the Bazooka Puppies back then, and that was all about Pharah play. We saw it all the time from teams being brought out. Neither of these teams really jump out to us as a big Pharah play, or having a big Pharah player. Kid played it earlier on, but not really for any great amount of time.
Wasn't a standout performance from Kib. It's been his Genji, surprisingly, today. We talked about underwhelming European Genjis, and both Kib and Nil have raised the bar of Europe we've seen all group stage.
The reason why Genji in Europe has always looked a bit suboptimal or subpar, you might say in some instances, is because if you play Genji into a tank-based composition, well, they group together and it's very, very hard to get through the shields they give. We saw it earlier on Shrine when it came down to it. But when you're playing two teams that both have dive on the go, it's a lot easier to create space and room for yourself to be able to pick off those key targets.
Well, here we go. We're off the gates onto Oasis. And of course, Gardens being the first round map. You see similar compositions coming from across the board. It's the Sombracer, the Old Faithful for Team Gigantti and British Hurricane, and they're already clashing offside the point. But it's Team Gigantti who have got that positional advantage.
Yeah, both going for the Sombracer. Davin at least opening up the scoring. Not something we've seen too much today. We said earlier on he's been pretty quiet as Hurricane have always had a response, but now they've got to worry about Nil because this guy has warmed up as the series has gone by. Yesterday, Kib was the guy who warmed up and really started to pop off. Now it's all about
that hack was huge onto Craggy. It locked him down for Davin to come and play clean-up crew and shut down British Hurricane's push, or really the bite of their push has been removed. And now Team Gigantti got the capture point. They're going to keep it in motion. The earnest is on British Hurricane to take it away from them.
On British Hurricane and that EMP that Kib is currently sat on. This is quite tightly packed point. Here he is with the EMP. How many is he going to catch?
He's in the middle of him. I think that was a wide cast net, and now Craggy was to come in. They were a little bit aware, so some could stagger. You can already see Crusade with the kill, RCK with the boosters onto Fusion, the Coalescence coming out. Craggy got that Pulse Bomb, he doesn't need it just yet. An answer coming out from Neil with his own EMP, and Ripper tearing through them with the Coalescences. RCK will hit down Crusade. There's a sticky onto Massa, he's gone by. The music doesn't play anymore. Team Gigantti still have control at this point.
RCK just going to go for the reset. I think they're quite comfortable. They can hold the point until he gets back there, but that's definitely a risk to take. Just didn't want to find himself getting picked off or staggered out, but Kib is going to bring down Nil. This could be Hurricane's time to spring back in here. They've got the ultimates online to make it happen, and here comes the sound barrier.
Like you said, the music's playing, the beat got dropped. LX Cloudy just landed straight into a hack. Has to remove himself from the fight. Keeps on going so low. The healing's not there. Kib burns through him with a machine pistol. And Craggy looking to come up behind him. Funny Astro, he's been subbed into the roster because it's a control map. Takes out Massa. There's the aggro Lucio we love to see. British Hurricane turn it back around, get control of this point.
But 75%, that's going to be nearer to 80 once British Hurricane actually managed to clear this point off because they still got members hanging around. They're looking towards 85% now. Gigantti with a very, very dominating first performance, but Hurricane have got ultimates online.
Neil was trying to play spoiler with the Sombra, as you'd expect, and they're sending in reinforcements. British Hurricane haven't appeared to got this lockdown because Team Gigantti are drip feeding themselves in. Look how much percentage they were able to get and move them closer to victory. They're in one team fight range. British Hurricane need to maintain control of this point until 1 hundo.
That's absolutely it, because Gigantti have almost got all of their ults online as well. We keep on speaking about this critical mass, and we are about to get there for both teams. Gigantti win a single fight decisively. This is their game.
EMP as they try to filter through the choke. Happy Cool taking him out. Davin moves round onto Craggy, and Nil answers kills from Team Gigantti. The Coalescence guiding them in like a laser sight, targeting them with a rifle. Where will the damage come from? A Primal Rage from Fusions, but he's been grounded by the hack and the EMP. He still manages to take out Nil with the help of Astro. Diving up high, Team Gigantti been pushed back yet again.
More ultimates invested by Hurricane there, mind you. 2 ultimates still online for Gigantti in the form of that self-destruct and the Primal Rage. If they can bring them out and get themselves onto one of these key targets in the back line, well, Hurricane may well lose that foundation. We keep on speaking about the heals that keep them ticking.
RCK sitting on that self-destruct. We know what he can do with that explosive ultimate. Holding on to it for now, trying to whittle down Happy Call. The Coalescence coming out from Crusade. That was their only ultimate in the bank. Neil is going to have a field day with this if he can get onto him now. It's Kib, so close to that ultimate of his own. But Craggy's got the Pulse Bomb. There's D-Mech on the RCK. Davin going to take out Fusions as Craggy moves in closer for the kill. And it's LX Cloudy who feels the pepper of his bullet and now they're being knocked around. Team Gigantti still haven't got control of this point since they lost it. 80% and ticking for British Hurricane.
It started so well for Gigantti, but they are constantly refuting the attempts by Gigantti to get back onto the point. This could very well be their first round. They're at 90%. This is the final fight for both teams.
Sound barrier onto British Hurricane. Crusade and Craggy leading the charge with the kills. The DMEC RCK could do nothing about it as Astro grabs one of his own. They have the man advantage. They have the positional advantage. Overtime about to whittle down the EMP. Hack the game, hack the system. It doesn't matter what you do. They've got a strong antivirus on their software as British Hurricane still holding out. The overtime will whittle down like the wick of a candle. There is no resistance from Team Gigantti apart from that lone tracer on Davin. Here we go. They're still throwing bodies at the point. They do not want to give it up. Team Gigantti can't get there. British Hurricane taking the first round of Oasis.
You came for the fight and you stay for the war between these two teams. It feels like Gigantti, again, a good early showing, 93%, and holding it out for that long, an impressive effort, but just unable to force their way back onto the point and take it away from Hurricane. Maybe now they're starting to find their feet once more, and this could be another quick 2-0 coming through, or a single quick 2-0 coming through from Hurricane, sorry. It just feels for Gigantti that in that case, once they're coming up against this direct matchup once more, unless it's on tanks, they still struggle a little bit.
Moving on to University, we see some more tank-heavier compositions. Of course, Fire and Mercy compositions are an option here, but we often see that missed out in Europe. It's more of the triple tank, maybe even the quad tank.
You might see a Farah come out if it goes all the way through to City Centre, but University, it's all about the brawl inside these four walls, and you definitely need a Junkrat inside for this one, which is why both teams are bringing that triple tank plus the Junkrat to the party.
You can see Neil's already making his mark on this map. Crusade, the first victim of his barrage of explosives. He's going one-on-one with Kib, and Kib is the champion of that matchup. And Craggy's now going to force his advantage with this Zarya in his face. 100 charge, going to cut down anyone who comes in his way. British Hurricane, they take first cap on University.
Saw last round how this goes down. Once Hurricane get a point, it's very hard to force them away from it, and Kib already getting towards that ultimate, set about 80%. What's most impressive is that Craggy has outcharged him on the ultimate so far. He's at 83%, while his counterpart in Davin is still sat at 30%.
And RCK, he's nearly got an ultimate of his own. He might be the one to lead them through. British Hurricane holding that choke. Kib from the side. Graviton Surge gets eaten up. No one's been locked up in that fight, unfortunately, as Kib sitting on that Riptide, doesn't need it because Team Gigantti have already been forced back to the spawn. So Craggy unfortunately misses the Graviton, but it's not needed by British Hurricane.
Forcing them all the way back into the spawn. Gigantti have got ultimates coming online so they can try and make something happen, but it's being matched by Hurricane. It felt almost like that little splurge of playing a minute ago from Gigantti was the big moment they were looking for to try and turn this map back in their series, even the whole series itself, into their favor. Let's not forget, they haven't yet been ahead of Hurricane, and that's definitely starting to show in this map.
We're having a bit of a drag race between British Hurricane and Team Gigantti over the top. Neil takes out Kib. He finds the person who was piloting the tire, but the tire is going to probably expire because there's nothing coming up in the kill feed for it. Craggy sitting on that high charge that he has been this entire map, looking to cut through someone, but they're retreating. Team Gigantti, without the Junkrat, they're able to push forward as the self-destruct comes over. Happy sending it in. No one's going to die. Graviton Surge locking him up. Sound barrier to keep him tasty. RCK finds one. Davin with the follow-up. Team Gigantti taking the fight to British Hurricane and recapping this point.
Finally, they managed to make it work, but it required getting Kib out of the way first, and to be honest, that's a struggle for a triple tank competition with the Junkrat. There are no members to dive in the backline and get rid of him, and even if you had those kind of members, Junkrat is very good at the anti-dive, thanks to the traps, thanks to the concussion mines, being able to displace both himself and the enemy team. Nil has that tire online once again, so he'll be looking for Kib to bring the next fight into their favor as well.
You can hear the tire being pulled and is steering towards something. Where will the target manifest itself? And Nil's tire has gone off the edge of the map, unfortunately. Got the DMEC onto Happycool, and Happycool's going to go off. So actually caught him in transit around the edge of the map. So Hurricane stagnated even further. They have a lot of ultimates in their pocket. The grab, the shatter, the tire, the coalescence at Team Gigantti. They're getting to a similar position with their own.
It's really funny seeing that these two teams aren't really giving the other the attack to go for this kind of Rhyme versus Rhyme matchup. There have barely been any fights like that because it's all about the Junkrats.
There's the Earth Shatter locking him down. It's blocked by the shield. Graviton Surge from British Hurricane pulling them together. Where are the tanks to run through them? The Coalescence going to burn it out as Kib trying to get something as the Graviton Surges pulled them all together, but there's no answer from Team Gigantti. The recap is there, the Riptide is available. Hide into your trench, you little rat, as you're being forced back by British Hurricane.
They do get a bit staggered out here as well. And Cloudy, he knew he had to try and go for the point to force this one out, but I feel, Tridd, this is going to be a Hurricane victory on this map.
98%, they need to get a body on the point, force out the overtime. It seems to be the tanks who have got that responsibility. David on that Tracer, moving off the Zarya just for the mobility. Can't quite get the tire. Oh, the Flame Strike from Fusions will seal the deal on that one as Happy removes David, so no more Tracer shenanigans from him. Shatter from Craggy will knock him down, as LH Cloudy doing everything he can to stall this out. Keeper wasted alive. The overtime burns down. It's been reset yet again. How often can Team Gigantti do this as they keep throwing bodies on the point to stall it out? Ripper finally gonna go down. British Hurricane take Oasis, and they are at series points.
3-2. We've been saying all along 7 maps would do this series justice. We're at that point now where we're going into the 6th one, and Hurricane are that single map away from taking the whole series. You've got to feel the nerves on both sides as well. Hurricane know if they lose this next one, then it comes down to one final map. Gigantti know if they lose, it's all over, and they've got to play it now.
Remains to be seen what that final map will be, but you've got to be feeling the nerves if you weren't already for Team Gigantti. And British Hurricane showing that, hey, those comments you've been making about momentum all season, momentum means nothing to us. We can choose when and where we want to play, where we want to win.
It's definitely one of those situations now where, for Gigantti, again, the nerves are going to be on edge a little bit, and I always worry because we said these tank-based compositions seem to favor them. Dive had a couple of good fights, but for the most part, Hurricane are taking the advantage. We've just seen them also lose on that tank-based composition. This is very reminiscent of the last time we saw these two teams play against each other in the series earlier in the season. I'm worried that Gigantti are going to fall into this rut now where Hurricane end up taking this 4-2.
Well, we're going to find out if that is the case. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will bring you what could be the final game of European Contenders. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe, the Season 1 playoffs. We're in the final between British Hurricane and Team Gigantti, and it's currently with a 3-2 scoreline in Hurricane's favor. That means this is match point coming into our 6th map.
Given Gigantti, both of their maps were won on Control. They'll probably feel good knowing that both Control maps are now out of the way. They had a good result previously on Assault and Escort, but going into Hybrid, which they lost last time, so maybe, just maybe, they're planning they can turn this around and get onto that last Escort map. But Hollywood does mean we're going to see Funny Astro come out once again for Hurricane. They've got to be feeling good coming into this.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be even better for Funny Astro because him and Crusade take turns on the team depending on the map type. Last Hybrid, Crusade was playing. This Hybrid, Funny Astro is going to be playing. I think if he gets the game-winning moment over his friend, there might be a little bit of beef there, but I think they'll overall be happy with the fact that they're winning Contenders Europe Season 1. But that's writing Team Gigantti off a little bit too early. They brought it back once. Can they do it again and force out that final map?
And let's not forget as well, the namesake of Gigantti, what it actually means. Last season, the champions, Davin, the returning member from that roster. These guys, if nothing else, know how to see it through to the bitter end and win things out. So Hurricane, one map away, but Gigantti, they're going to be fancying their chance of turning things around on Hollywood. Let's see if they can do it.
So, looks like we are going to have British Hurricane on the defense first for Hollywood. If they can stop Team Gigantti early, they can move into a very, very enthusiastic offense on the counter push.
You imagine the situation it gets to where Gigantti get about two and a half of the way there, and then there comes the big push through from Hurricane, and they've just got to get it over that final little finishing line, not even complete the map, but get towards the end. That would be very reminiscent of what we've seen out of these two teams previously.
Looking like a triple tank junk composition from Hurricane. That has been the composition of the series for, quite frankly, both of these teams. If we look at what's being played the most, hard to call an obvious victor when it comes to that direct compositional mirror match.
It's one thing you gotta love about our region, right, is that the compositions you see are so varied all the time. We see full dive, triple tank, quad tank, Farah, Weirdo, you name it, even Bastion or something on something like Junkertown. It's everywhere. There's so many different variations, and teams, I don't want to say they're unpredictable because every team has their preference, right? But we do see a lot of mix-ups coming through, and it always creates exciting matches. And again, we've hyped this series up so much today. What better series could you hope for in the finals than Hurricane versus Gigantti?
British Hurricane have cemented who's going to be in that roster to begin this map, seeing as it's just about to open the spawn gates. Team Gigantti, they've got Neil on that Hanzo for the scouting area, but it's, of course, going to go onto that Junkrat. Team Gigantti on the offense first. They need to make it big if they want to keep this series alive.
Got to try and make it work, and historically they've lost these tank fights. Cloudy is always the first to fall, but this time round, it's Davin going down to Astro.
Funny aggro coming in with that Lucio straight onto Davin, and they're pushing him back. Team Gigantti going to have to go for that reset, where they're trying to fire projectiles out of everywhere to maybe get something back.
Kib and Nil both having their tires online any second now. Nils has just come up, means they have the opportunity to go for the big push, as well as both coalescences. Let's see who wins out the ultimate war between these teams.
Riptide going in with the coalescence to guide them out. They're being traded everywhere. Happy Cool shuts down Nils, who will shut down Kibbs as he's looking for a more creative route over the rooftops, running around, forcing Gigantti back. They didn't know where it is, so they had to go as far away as they could. Now that they've taken it out, they can put on the pressure again, forcing through this choke. That's two ultimates burned from either side. No one really to pound for it. Kib takes out Masa, so they're going to have to push Gigantti back again with a stagnated team. Kib again onto Neil with a concussion mine, and Cracky, he's sitting on that Graviton Surge, and he's looking for the right time to pull the trigger.
Gigantti are almost a little bit apprehensive once they get under this archway. They don't really know when they want to go for the big push. They're almost waiting for a pick to happen, but Hurricane are leaving no openings. There are no picks to be found unless that tire is online, and so far both tires have been destroyed before they could catch anyone.
Now they're going on the offense again. 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Still haven't been able to touch that point yet, despite being so close. Riptide, they're in sync right now, and it's Kib taking out Nil's tire with a tire of his own. They would rather disengage and go for the kill. Coalescences traded across. Do not cross the streams, because in the middle, someone's going to go down. It's LA's Cloudy. Craggy's the one to pull that back to his own. Stagnated by that trap on the floor, but they haven't had to burn everything in their arsenal. British Hurricane keep pushing Gigantti back. Less than 2 minutes for this team to capture point A.
So many rotations coming in between the two teams in terms of what ultimates are being expended by who and when, but so far Gigantti have not managed to crack that tough outer shell of Hurricane, and the ultimates on both sides are still there in numbers, but Craggy has gone down. That's big.
That's an opening for Gigantti. By taking out Craggy, they're missing out on the Graviton Surge as well as the obscene amounts of damage. Earth Shatter comes down.
Catches everyone!
Huge shatter from LH Cloudy, and he'll follow up with the charge. This is the breaking point for British Hurricane. Team Gigantti, they just needed one card to fall, and the rest came tumbling down. Team Gigantti had taken point A.
Name a more iconic duo than Cloudy and Fatty Chassis, as we've taken to calling them in Europe. That is the kind of player you want out of your main tank, catching 5 members. Once that shield went down, there was no stopping them from rolling over, and Gigantti will catch the point. Now we got to see how far they can get through the second and third stage of Hollywood.
They have a lot of ultimates in their bank already for British Hurricane, more so than Gigantti, because they had to throw everything in the kitchen sink to get that point after they capitalized on the mistake of Craggy going down. But British Hurricane, they might be able to stagnate him already. There goes the singularity to pull them together. There's a self-destruct in the middle. It comes down, finds Neil, but it's Fusion who's getting kills. A D-make onto RCK, and the Coalescence is a little bit too late. But British Hurricane have pushed Team Gigantti back and have got control of this payload.
Stall, stall, stall. That's all they'll be aiming to do. 3 minutes in the time bank for them now. And a small breather comes through for us and for them. A very slow start, it feels, so far to Hollywood. That first point push took Gigantti a couple of goes. That one catch onto Craggy, really the big defining factor. And now they've got to try and get through the streets phase. It's looking a bit tough so far. We've only seen the one push, but Hurricane objectively seem to want to keep up that same aggressive front that we saw for them on the first point.
Well, they've cut the momentum down from Team Gigantti, that semblance of what they were able to muster up towards the end of point A by disengaging them from that payload. And now you're going to have an offensive option coming out from Gigantti to try and retake control of the payload, keep it moving, and I don't think British Hurricane are going to have any plans of letting that happen.
Absolutely not, and you can understand why. In the point where you're in the final map, when potentially this is where you walk away with the title, taking it away from Gigantti, not letting them carry on their reign of infamy in Europe, as you might say, you've got to pull out your best performance, and they feel confident. We spoke to the players before. They are very confident. There is a reason why Astro gets brought out into Hollywood as well as the control rounds, because they know they can play this map so damn well.
And what a shatter by LH Cloudy.
Can't take that away from him.
Capitalized on the massive man advantage created by Craggy going down. But the biggest problem with that was the fact he was sitting on that Graviton Surge. So when that gets removed from the fight as well, a weight is lifted and it gives you the confidence to go in and make those types of plays as well. And he found the right time, the right angle to knock down the core members of Hurricane's defense.
It just goes to show that on these maps especially, for a team to hold out for 4 minutes, like, it feels not as impactful or maybe as impressive as it should be, because one mistake, and we've seen Hurricane, a team that don't really make too many mistakes, one mistake, or even a nice little play from Gigantti, you might say, Nil picking off Craggy, even without the tire, that was all it took for them to take that first point. It really is a game of small margin between these two teams, and I keep on saying this, but it's so true.
And the series has delivered and more, as long as it was not a clean sweep. Going to 6 maps, keeping it going that far, and potentially we can see that 7th map and bring it all down to 1. The crowd is asking, where is Jetpack Cat? I'm asking, where is this series? We want it back on the screen, but of course the players need to get those technical difficulties solved first. When that gets happened, we'll get the game back in motion.
Hollywood's always been a bit of a favorite of mine because throughout Europe, we have some very, very good Widowmaker players, but we don't see them too often, to be honest with you. Flippy from Eagle Gaming springs to mind. Kenzie from CIS Hope, the other standout performer that we can think of when we say the name Widowmaker. I'm curious to see if either of these two teams are going to bring it out, or if we're going to see them eventually just stick to this tank-based composition, or as a final alternative, go back onto the full dive that we're used to seeing, because this second stage of Hollywood, it's incredibly vertical.
I think it's more of a comment about Europe's meta, with the fact that all of our most dominant traces that we include as dominant traces, Widows, aren't actually here at playoffs. A lot of them have already been eliminated from the competition. The Team Gigantti, they're on the payload already. Kib taking out Master. Coalescence always being kept up by Bucket, and they're leading them back round into their spawn room, not committing all of the ultimates to this fight because they're still killing the momentum of Team Gigantti. 2 minutes 30 for them, and they have so much of stage 2 to go.
Gigantti have been biding their time, that they've saved up 5 ultimates, and the first one is rolling out now. Kib is going to match it with his own tire, though. He's
going to try and go straight into the back line. Both of them taken out by the tank lines. Davin still on that Zarya. Going to pull in multiple members. They're blocking the shield, the shatter, shut down any offense. And now British Hurricane want to do one of their own. They've broken the shield. Here comes Kid with the explosives, and Happy-Cool got some missiles of his own. British Hurricane still keeping Team Gigantti at bay.
Imagine burning all those ultimates on the side of Gigantti and still not managing to make these things work. It was a huge shatter coming out of Fusions to completely shut that attack down. Otherwise, the intent was there. They spoke about it on the desk. You're looking for Cloudy to have the big charge, to get in there, knock the enemy Reinhardt out of the way so that that Diva Bomb can go through uninterrupted. In this case, the Diva Bomb was stuck way at the back because they got shattered before they could even go for the play.
Coalescence being the guiding light against Team Gigantti. There's the shatter from LH Cloudy, the sound barrier immediately, and the response from Fusions as well. He gets charged back. You see RCK in the face of the supports. Team Gigantti have broken the foothold of British Hurricane and are going to start moving closer towards that final stage of this map as they pretty much get a team kill against British Hurricane.
Finally managed to get moving, but there's still only about 1 minute left on the clock. And yesterday, we saw fantastic stalls coming out on the corner just before you get to the final point of stage 2. I'm wondering if we were going to see the same again today, where teams end up stalling for so long. And it wasn't even a big tank comp that held it down yesterday, Tridd. It was highly mobile dive comps, just being unable to get anyone off that point that it ended up being stalled.
Riptide trying to find a creative angle, goes straight in for the D-Mech on Happy. Early self-destruct just to get a remech into this next fight. So he's going to move back round. It's a bit of a waste of an ultimate, but it's better to have the mech. Craggy round the back, picks up Mega, looking for a flank onto the back line. You've got Fusions now on that Winston in the face. Riptide comes into the middle, sound barrier coming out for Team Gigantti. The Riptide finds no one because of it. They're jumping up, retreating around the corner. 20 seconds remaining as the Graviton Surge from Gigantti pulls multiple members in. Davin trying to keep Craggy in check. The rest of Hurricane have fell back. They're looking to get back onto the point, but they're already being forced inside the studio. This is Team Gigantti going to the final stage of this match. It's RCK. He's a bloodthirsty diva, and he hunts down Kib to the end of the earth.
Managed to make it work out for themselves in 2 very decisive fights. I did wonder if we would see this final rally come out of Gigantti almost, but they make it happen. They're on towards the third point, Tridd.
With 1 minute 20 on the clock, they can still complete this in overtime, or maybe not, depending on how much of resistance British Hurricane comes up. All I know is that they do not complete this map. It is all on their next defense.
And on Hurricane's attack, that will be the fearsome round for them. And speaking of fearsome, let's look at their defense, because they've got a lot of ultimates online. That Transcendence is there, but Craggy is gone.
Already RCK finding the kills. Davin following up on the funny Astro self-destruct. It's there around the corner, zoning him off. Cloudy being the gatekeeper, keeping the damage at bay. He's sitting on an Earth Shatter. We've seen what he can do with this already, and with no counter shatter from British Hurricane and no consistent shield, this could open up the field for Gigantti to walk it in. 30 seconds remaining. Where is the resistance from the Hurricanes? As the sound barrier being used, Graviton Surge holding the primal raid. He's just going to get charged down after being hosed down, and the self-destruct from RCK gets it. I am in awe at the size of this lad. He's an absolute unit, and Team Gigantti will complete Hollywood.
That was not in the script for Hurricane. After a fantastic first point hold and fantastic defense in the streets of Hollywood, you would never have imagined Gigantti with 1 minute on the clock would have been able to complete with spare time remaining at that. So now we've got to see if Hurricane can undo to Gigantti what has just been undone to them, and for all intents and purposes, just roll over them once it comes to the streets phase.
Their spare change will be the difference maker. One thing we have to be conscious though of, Des, is if this results in a tie, we could actually see game number 8.
No.
No?
Please no.
Please no?
Could you imagine how that will feel in terms of pressure as well if it comes down to it?
Well,
insane.
We already know what that final map will be. It will be Ilios, the only remaining control map not played in this series.
And for Gigantti, you got to think it took them a long time to get through that first point. So if it does come down to them having a minute, minute and a half to go for a push, they're going to find it hard to break through Hurricane. But let's not write them off yet, because you haven't even seen what Hurricane can do on attack. They might not even be able to complete, but you know damn well they're going to try their hardest. And looking at what they're going for so far on the defensive side, they're going for that tried and tested setup. It was kind of what we saw earlier on, actually, was the 2 tanks backing up the Junkrat and the Tracer. I had some question marks around this previously, but it's very much so what we saw in Numbani. You are essentially setting up that Junkrat to be bait. You're saying, please come and dive me, because our tanks will jump in there and keep me alive long after you're dead.
Let's have a look, start to look towards what British Hurricane might be running here. I don't know if they're going to stick with this because we expect the triple tank composition, but Team Gigantti, they're definitely committed to this double DPS support. This is the trash compactor composition, Des. They're going to wait for that. They're going to wait for that Junkrat to be dived on, collapse in on him, and use the confined space to their advantage. British Hurricane might need to be prepared for it, but they changed it up. They're taken to the skies. They've got the Farah Mercy combination. British Hurricane need to complete this to end the series here.
This is what we saw at the CIS Hope yesterday. Once you're aware of what they're running and you see that Junkrat, your answer every single time is going to be that Farah, because they have no way of bringing you out of the sky. And they full well can't run back now. Gigantti are stuck with this composition. So unless someone dies and they can hold, they are going to really struggle to deal with Kip.
He's getting a lot of attention from Ripper on that Zenyatta. The damage boosted Kib rockets looking to shred through someone. He's got the Mercy in the composition. Very slow paced Overwatch, looking for that slight edge, and then they're going to pull the trigger and go in deep. Now, forcing it out, that's the first kill. It's Craggy taking out Ripper, so the Zenyatta threat isn't there. Davin's answering with one of his own. He's going to bring Ripper back into the fight with that resurrection as Craggy dives in, takes out Davin, but immediately his head has been taken clean off by the Terminator. It's Ripper, more like Reaper in this instance.
They managed to at least push them back, and for a few seconds it looked a bit scary, but the key one was Davin bringing down Funny Astro. Once that res was off the table, Hurricane could not stick in this fight, and Basar is going to bring out the Valkyrie.
Going to use that to keep everyone topped off as British Hurricane are still around the fringe of this fight. Davin looking to be sneaky, find something in the back. He's seen the Transcendence being used. He knows he's going to go down in a second. Going in close, gets some support from LH Cloudy and burns through him, but Happy, he's got a double on that tank. Nil riding the tire over the rooftops, dropping down from the skies straight onto Astro. You can't resurrect that, as Davin is still on the skirts. But British Hurricane, they've got a trench hold on this point. Nearly got the second piece of that pie. They've confirmed it now. They're so close to taking the point A. The barrage from Kip is so strong. However, the Transcendence and the close proximity to Nil allows him to be taken from the sky. Gigantti are forced Hurricane back again.
Questionable positioning from Hurricane with their supports. They have Bot completely on his own to the side, being pocketed by Funny Astro, and he died very soon after, as we saw to the tire. So I don't know, a bit of a split focus there, I feel. However, they're going to redeem themselves a bit. Bot gets the kill onto Nil. Without that Junkrat in this fight, there is no major damage threat to push Hurricane back.
But they're forcing them into Cafe, and you can see Kip taken to the skies. He's going to try and support his back line by taking out that tank threat that's landed onto him. The self-destruct goes over the roof. No one to be found today for RCK, as he's going to lose his mech. You see, everyone's falling at the wayside for British Hurricane. They capture point A and keep this map alive.
Gigantti just kind of rolled over there and didn't really show up to that last and final fight. Hurricane had all the freedom in the world to pick off the members they wanted to and secure the first point, but not a bad hold by Gigantti all the same. They did manage to shave a couple of minutes off of Hurricane's push time. Now let's see how they do in streets, because this didn't go so well for Gigantti in their round, and we're even going to see a Widow come into play, Tridd.
Widow's an interesting choice. We kind of expected it from other teams on this today's map, but not necessarily Gigantti or British Hurricane. And Widowmaker, Genji, these heroes we've all been seeing, these are heroes that are going to be coming up in the Atlantic Showdown, whoever wins this series. But let's focus on the here and now as Nil removes Craggy's head.
That's what you want to see. Now, I imagine they'll change over at some point to try and match this. It looks like actually they'll opt towards full dive and just go for a jump into that back line and try and bring him down, because for Nil, once he moves off that high ground, there is no safe place where he has good vision lines onto the aggressing side. He's got to essentially try and keep himself safe for as long as he can, or try and get towards bank, but that is a big risk.
Davin's on the low ground, self-destruct going into the back line, over the rooftop, trying to clear some airspace for him to operate in. Davin, with the pistol whip on the Funny Astro, throws out the pulse bomb, won't find anyone. The Diva doesn't get stuck to today, but he will get the D-Mech still, as Kib on that Genji cuts through Nil, so they're missing their sniper rifle, gets a D-Mech onto RCK, follows up where Craggy started off. Happy Cool, again onto Ellis Cloudy, but it's Davin still pepping away at the supports. He was going to have them by himself, but Nil's back in the fight to take out Bucket before Davin can even do it, and with a Discord orb on Funny Aggro, he's going to be meeting a grave as well.
Definitely meeting a grave and being halted once again in the street. So Gigantti putting up a pretty valiant defense so far. No Widow being matched across by Hurricane. They're quite confident what they're doing. In fact, I lie. It's the Flex Master himself. It's Happy Cool going across to match Nil on that Widowmaker.
Is there anything this guy cannot play? So let's see if he can keep it up to the standard of nil. Obviously, it's cheating at the moment because they've got infra sight, so kind of wall hacks, they know where he's going to be. Let's see if they can wait for him to expire, take the shot. He already clipped Nil, and Nil couldn't get the clip off his own, but he's got the Pocket Mercy to keep him alive. The Widow Jewels.
Happy got Ripper.
Happy taking out Ripper instead. He changed target, and now he's putting the pressure back onto Nil. Fusions removing that LH Cloudy, but Nil finally gets Happy Cool, so not up to snuff when it comes to going against Gigantti's Widow. The notorious KYB has that Dragon Blade ready to go. He needs to find the right time, but Ripper, he's on the field with a Transcendence. He's going to have to look for someone to blow it in. With Craggy being taken out, that pressure is completely removed. KYB takes to the sky. He gets in the face of Nil, throws some shurikens, but he's got no HP, no support, and LH Cloudy will send him home.
Cloudy had his number for the whole thing, and now you're starting to get into that nervous territory for Hurricane. 1 minute 15 to go. They haven't managed to crack this Gigantti defense in the way they would like. Yes, they've had a few small victories in bringing down things like the Widowmaker, maybe securing a support or two, but they've not yet managed to convincingly push them back and secure this second point. We might be going to map 7 at this rate, Tridd.
Well, with less than 1 minute on the clock for British Hurricane to break through the defense of Gigantti, they've really struggled to deal with the Widowmaker from Nil, as he's being pressure put onto him. The Transcendence being traded. KYB with the blade sends out the biggest sticking point for Gigantti. So without Nil on the field, what can they do with this time as KYB relies on that sound barrier to keep him alive? They've got the payload moving around to that final corner. They only have 20 seconds left, I believe, or is that 30 seconds, sorry, left to play in this stage. One valiant resistance from Team Gigantti can shut down this map right here, right now. And Kib, he's hiding in the shadows.
Secret Agent KYB going to get himself spotted out, immediately have to retreat. There is 15 seconds. This is Hurricane's last chance to end this here and now. Otherwise, Tridd, we are going to map 7.
The self-destruct bought some time for Gigantti to get all their chess pieces on the board. Kib's in the middle. You can see Fusions jumping onto Nil, so they've lost their sniper rifle, but LH Cloudy, he returns the favor, avenges his fallen comrade. Masa brings it back into the fray. Happy Cool on the Widow, takes out the exposed RCK as Craggy dancing around the fight. Overtime still ticking down. Nil finds Happy Cool again. That's 2 for nothing if you're keeping track. And he finds Craggy as well. Nil on this Widowmaker is keeping Gigantti in this series. The overtime, it's ticking down. Where is it?
No one's there!
Gigantti are going to the final map.
We've been saying all along we wanted this to go to map 7 because it would bring it the justice it deserved, and we are actually going there, Tridd. This isn't a fairy tale anymore. This is probably hell on earth for both of these teams, knowing that there are just 2 rounds standing between them and the title of Europe Contenders champions.
There are no more maps after this final control map. It's not even a control map. It's not, it's going to game 7. So it's not 2 more rounds, we got 1 more map. We'll find out what that's going to be very shortly, but Hollywood wasn't expecting to go the way of Gigantti. We was having a quick chat with Hurricane as they ran backstage, and they were like, yeah, we got this. This is easy. Well, apparently not. The plan didn't work out. We're going to go to a quick break, and hopefully when we come back, we will bring you that final game of the series.
Welcome back to the Overwatch Contenders season final for the European region. We have watched 6 maps and the 2 teams are still going head to head. 3 maps went British Hurricanes' way, 3 maps went Team Gigantti's way, and it all comes down to this 7th and final map. It is the final we dreamed of, the favorites up against the defeating champions, and right now, it's anyone's guess where this is going to be, how this is going to go, who is going to take it. The excitement in this room and the pressure as well from both sides. Gents, let's chat a little bit about what we saw, obviously, in this final map that we just watched. Right at the beginning, it looked like Hurricane had Gigantti's number. They couldn't even move onto that first point, and then they did, and that was it. Hurricane had 0 answers for Gigantti.
Yeah, Hurricane's ability to play so far up against, and just pushing Gigantti against a wall, just doesn't matter, because LH Claddy's right in front of your face. And as soon as they're up against it, they spring right back, and it's very easy for them to kind of push through. LH Claddy's Rhine, much better than Fusion's, and we've kind of said that throughout the entirety of the season. LH Claddy, probably one of the best Rhines, well, left in the tournament, that is for sure, but actually coming here, maybe Sharek could beat him to the post, but he's really coming up in the forefront of Gigantti, that is for sure. And not only that, when they are pushing back, it's more often than not, again, we're seeing Hurricane supports left a little bit high and dry. Funny Astro, even sometimes not on his Lucio, he's actually on Mercy. It seems he's a bit out of place some of the time.
Okay, I'm going to throw you both under the payload. We are in the finals here. Each team is sitting with 3 maps. We're going into the 7th. How do you think this game's going to go? It's time for some predictions, boys.
I personally think that having Coach Shifty here for British Hurricane will be a great help as we head into Dorado, which should be our last map because it's Escort, it's one we haven't played yet. And because Dorado's second stage is very similar to Hollywood's second stage, where we just saw Gigantti hold, maybe Shifty's figured out something, given back British Hurricane some information as to how they can try and defeat these comets where Nil's getting so much support that he just has as much time as he wants to hit the shot.
Yeah, that's it right there. It's all on Nil. You saw him on the second point in Hollywood. This guy's an absolute monster. There was nothing from Hurricane that could actually shut him down apart from the tanks actually leaping at him, because there isn't really a big Widowmaker player. Craggy can pull it out from time to time, but it's just not nearly as effective. And we normally see Nil on the Genji as well on this stage. We don't normally see them as a big Widowmaker playing team, and it forced Happycool actually to switch off this tank role on the Diva, go to a Widowmaker that got completely out-sniped because you're getting triple pocketed from both the supports from Gigantti.
Interesting hero picks throughout. If we go back to map number 5, we saw the Tracer Sombra mix coming in, when normally on that specific point on the map we see Pharah. Why was that?
Yeah, Gardens, everyone came out with the Tracer and Sombra mix, and I do think that is due to the coaches trying to outthink each other, because I think maybe they thought, okay, we know how this team plays, so I think we can counter them with a Tracer and Sombra dive. And it eventually went the way of British Hurricane, because I think that they just ended up having better target focus. They could get around hack targets a little bit better, but there was some significant dominance from Gigantti in the beginning, and that's just been the running theme of these series. Both of these teams are just going so close to each other, neck and neck. Even if it was 0-2 on Oasis, the scoreline doesn't reflect just how close it was.
The scoreline doesn't reflect how close it is, but it is sitting on 3-3, Legday. This is as close as it's going to get.
That particular scoreline.
For a fun. I know what you meant. I just like to throw you under the payload sometimes. It's my fun time. This is it. It is time. British Hurricane, Team Gigantti. The atmosphere right here is just electric. You can feel it. People are excited. They are nervous. They want to shout for their favorite teams. Let's do that final push on this Overwatch path to pro. Dez, Tridd, take us through map number 7.
Dreams do come true, especially for me and Dez longing for this matchup, and it has delivered everything and more. But the dreams of British Hurricane or Team Gigantti, only one of them can come true, and it's going to come down to this final map. It is, of course, Dorado, where we will decide who will be our European champions.
The one time I would love to hear what coaches have said to their players was in that break just now. How do you calm the nerves and get players ready when you're at 3-3? You've been playing for months and months and months in preparation for this moment, and you know it comes down to one final map. There is no way to describe how that has to feel, both for the players, for the coaches, for the staff who have built up around them this whole time. Even I'm stood here thinking, we've cast these guys the whole time as well. We've seen the teams develop over the split of European contenders. my heart bleeds for them in this case. The team that goes home empty-handed is going to feel so disappointed, but I think given this performance, you can't say to any team that they did not deserve to be here today.
Absolutely, and it's been a long journey over the 5-week group stage. We had our quarterfinals, the semi-finals yesterday, and here we are on map 7 of a best of 7 series between British Hurricane and Team Gigantti, and I'm just so happy right now.
You look happy.
I know. I very rarely do.
It's a very big rarity. But speaking of British Hurricane, there's a reason why these guys have always gone towards Junkertown. You can basically put one and one together and say these guys, when they have the option, go to Junkertown. Dorado is not one of their hot favorites. And we saw a second ago, when it came down to the Widow kind of matchup, Nil kind of popped off at the times when it counted most, and that second point, so often we see teams switch towards something like the Widow. The first one, you really don't know what you're going to see. Yesterday it was Captain Kenty, we've seen Full Dive, we've seen Farah, we speak about the variety in the European region, that's exactly what you're going to see.
We've even seen the May Bastion door strats from British Hurricane
Yes,
as
we
well.
have.
They are willing to get experimental. And at what point do you ask, do you have to just go full experimental and try something completely out of the box, or are you going to rely on just out mechanical skill against these teams?
One way to find out, and then of course is to witness what will be history. First season of 2018, only one team walks away victorious. Coming into this 2-0 for British Hurricane, you thought they'd take it, but Gigantti have fought their way back in.
5 seconds until the gates open. Alvernia Planet is making some noise. We are here for the final leg of these finals. Team Gigantti and British Hurricane, they're leaving the gates with a dive composition, and they want to win it right here, right now.
Nil going back onto the Soldier. They've got hold of the Mercy. They want to get the pocket onto him at the very least to get down some chip damage. But Kib is already being contested. This is a very aggressive stance for Cloudy. He, of course, has the ability to jump back to his team for heals when needed. Even Davin is holding a very aggressive position. They want to try and burn Hurricane down as much as they can before they get anywhere near that market.
If he mistimes the recall, he loses that high ground position. You can see Nil with the Soldier getting a lot of attention from the dive. He has to back off, and LH Cloudy going to deal with that monkey getting in his face. Pocket still holding the ground with his teammate as Davin and Cloudy. They're the ones getting kills in the D-Mex. Crusade going to bring Fusion back into the fight, but Davin makes sure the resurrection number 2 doesn't happen. Meanwhile, Kib, he's cut through Cloudy, he's cut through RCK, and he's trying to make a dent into this Team Gigantti lineup as Davin so close to falling down, getting the support from Ripper to keep him in the fight. He's got a pulse bomb available. Discord orb onto the opposing Genji. Will he be able to whittle him down? While that chaos has been going on, Happy's only gone and snuck it into the market section of this map.
That's exactly where they want to be, away from this crossfire that seemed to have been set up by Gigantti. But for Gigantti, they've nearly got all 6 ultimates online super early if they want to start popping them out. And I expect full well for Nil to deploy that attack visor as soon as it comes online.
Well, here comes the dive. Both Valkyries popped. Kib sitting on that Dragon Blade. You say Nil immediately pops the tactical visor. British Hurricane, they're retreating, playing a little bit more defensive, waiting for these ultimates to expire, and they're going to hit a go button of their own. Pocket, he's taking out LH Cloudy. He's coming in with a Transcendence. The self-destruct, it's gone straight to the back line. No one's to be found. RCK sends up one of his own. It takes out Craggy. Fusions with the Primal Rage on Tomasa. Removes him. Kib still got the Dragon Blade available. They know that there's no Zenyatta on the field for him, so he can use it if he wants to, but Nil is keeping it alive with the Soldier. Gunned down from the side by Happy Cool. Kib taken out by LH Cloudy on the Winston. There's so many brawls happening around the payload, but when the dust settles, British Hurricane taking the first point.
And they still keep hold of that blade. Kib felt no need to bring it down in that first push because they knew they had the numbers advantage once that fight really got into the meat and potatoes. The Transcendence out of Bok, let them push in, gave them the space they needed after the Valkyrie had expired off for Crusade. Now they've got to try and contest with this high ground. Nil definitely in a good position here on the Soldier to hold this one away, but you're looking, as always, a full dive composition. It's not long for this world on this high ground.
Well, here's Kib. He saved the blade just for this moment. Dives down from above, takes out Nil onto the back line with the dash. Misses the second swing. He's got one kill. Pocket found Davin, who tried to aggress onto his back line, holding his own. RCK comes in with the boosters from the side to take him out. As Happy Cool deals with LH Cloudy. The self-destruct in the middle. No one to be found, but it buys time for Hurricane to bring Kib back into the fight. Self-destruct from RCK, finding no one as Pocket is just riding this payload, demanding his team to get on there now that they've won this fight.
And they are winning it in style. They've crushed this second point, which for a lot of teams is usually a very big sticking point. They struggle to get through streets and into the third point, but they're doing that in very convincing fashion. The question now for Gigantti is, do we burn this Transcendence going for a fight here, or do we hold on to it and wait for the third point?
Well, we usually see a lot of stalls happening at the cusp of getting to that third point. A lot of pros made in stage 2. Bucket taking out Davin again. This guy is an absolute machine on Zenyatta, removing all threats that come his way. And Fusion's with that Primal Rage, not popping it just yet. Gonna let LH Cloudy tire himself out with some haymakers before he goes for the fight in the 12th round. Fusion's taking out RCK, then he moves back onto LH Cloudy with Kib. They are taking themselves to the final stage of this map, and there is nothing Gigantti can do about it.
Perfect play coming out of Fusions there with that Winston. Every single time he killed a target, he turned around and there was another one there ready for him to chase down and drop. Hurricane are a team revived. We were concerned that Dorado was not their map, that they always go to Junkertown, but they are showing us they can do it on either map. They don't care where, they will bring their best.
And Fusion's now already got that aggressive position. He's setting up, waiting for someone to try and come and match him on the high ground. That perfect position could catch Gigantti off guard when they try and aggress onto British Hurricane and cut him go. They've got 3 minutes 30 in the clock to use. Here's another blade coming out. This time it's from Neil. Kib's gonna answer. No kills so far. It's the tanks from British Hurricane that's doing the work. Davin finally avenges himself by taking out Bucket when they go for one of their cheeky little skirmishes. Craggy with the pistol whip on the master. The cut through Davin. Kib's gonna deal with him nicely. Here's Craggy riding the payload. Where is Neil? He's gonna have to dash away. One more shot, but it's the lightning that strikes onto Neil. And here comes British Hurricane onto the home stretch of their European victory.
Last chance saloon now for Gigantti. They've got the sound barrier available if they need it, as well as the space crater, as I like to call it. But Ripper has been picked off. This could be the end, Tridd.
And Craggy, he's going to have to contend with just the sound barrier rather than Transcendence. But now the conclusion of this fight may determine whether there'll be a completion or not. Self-destruct goes into the air after a D-Mech. Nil takes out Kib. Finally, someone shut down the madman with the sword. And Craggy hunting for kills. He's nearly got that pulse bomb. Will he get a stick? He's getting ready for it. The ability's there, but he'd rather whittle down RCK. He can't escape. The boosters are not enough. There's the D-Mecha ready for him. British Hurricane know when the fight's been lost. They're going to retreat and try it all over again.
This feels like the first time on this map that Gigantti have actually convincingly beat Hurricane and managed to save themselves some time. Now it's all about running down those valuable seconds. 2 minutes and 15 left on the clock. Gigantti, they're in this one for the long haul. They've got to keep British Hurricane held, because if this goes to 3-3 once again, well, it would have hit a melting point if we went into overtime.
Overtime on an escort map to decide who gets the European crown. I can't think of a better way to end it, but the teams can't think of a worse nightmare. Primal Rage forced out by the pulse bomb. Neil sitting on that Dragon Blade, looking for his opponent. He's going for Kib. He's too far away. The dash away. He's in hot pursuit. One more slash should do it. There's that melee range with the sword for you, Mr. Kib, as he gets shut down. And Team Gigantti using that momentum, carry forth and push British Hurricane back.
2 fights in a row after losing a good 5 or 6 back-to-back. This is the kind of Gigantti that I wanted to see for the majority of this map, but we never really had the opportunity, or more like they didn't, to get their thoughts together. They were just being consistently rolled by the momentum from Hurricane. And we always say Hurricane are a momentum-based team. In this instance, that momentum has been grounded.
And listen to that crowd. They know that it's getting close to the climax of this match. British Hurricane going through the interior. The supports are safe behind the tank line, but they're never safe from Davin, from Nil. You don't know where they're going to show up on Team Gigantti, but they're here rolling around. Here's Kib, the notorious KYB, with that Dragon Blade. Pulse bombs in close space. Crusade's already gone down. Cool with the micro missiles onto RCK. He's in point blank range as Craggy takes out Nil with a pulse bomb. They're sitting in a Transcendence, and Craggy gonna have to back off again. LH Cloudy removes Bucket. He's getting a few haymakers, but he's got a glass. He's got a jaw of steel as he dodges around and tanks the hit for his friends. British Hurricane, they're not going for a full reset just yet, but they have to take a step back with 30 seconds on the clock.
Gigantti, even though they lost a couple of crucial members early on to Hurricane, managed to stay put and force Hurricane back. They've managed to burn a good 2.5 minutes on the clock here, holding them on this final corner. Hurricane, if they complete it here, they're going to go into the defensive round very happy, but Gigantti are looking to stand in their way.
The crowd is bloodthirsty. Is it thumbs up or thumbs down for Hurricane? RCK saying thumbs down to Fusions as he takes him out. Kib still sitting on that Dragon Blade. He's going to need to whip it out. Hits the D-Mech. Where is the kill? Comes through RCK immediately. His pocket was the one who gets the D-Mech. Needs to sign something more. And Cloudy will be the target. Nil turning it around. Pulse Bomb. Dragon Blade from the team of Team Gigantti. And they have shut down British Hurricane before they can complete this map.
3 kills by Hurricane at the very start of that fight. Nil pulls out the blade, and I keep on saying about this guy, his highest highs are down well high, and getting those 3 crucial kills at the end completely turned around for his team and won it back. But the real MVP at the very start of that fight was Fusion's getting dropped. He was on 99%. He was about to get the Primal Rage, but he was not present in that final fight. So Gigantti pulling out these big clutch plays at the right moment. Now we've got to see if they can get themselves towards the end of Dorado to clinch that crown for themselves once again.
British Hurricane now have to put on the defense of their life because Team Gigantti, they now know the benchmark they need to hit. There is no overtime. There is no second phase of this map. If you do not reach the distance British Hurricane have managed to do so, then you go home empty-handed today.
I'm so happy to be on this side of the curtain because to be sat out there right now, one of those 12 players on that stage, this is a feeling you would not be able to put into words because knowing that there is literally 4, well, maybe a bit more than 4, a few minutes of Overwatch to go, determining whether or not you are champion or not. We've been saying it all day. This atmosphere to be in is insane. Could not imagine it.
Any way you spin this, it has been a fantastic series. It doesn't matter who comes out to us to view it. We have witnessed fantastic Overwatch, and we have been blessed with divine Overwatch. But for Team Gigantti and British Hurricane, everything is on the line on this offense from Team Gigantti, the defending champion, the pride of Finland. Everything is on you to show up or go home empty-handed. And with 5 seconds on the gate, let's talk about some comps.
Let's do that indeed, Tridd. We're looking towards Hurricane's tried and tested Soldier Ana. We've spoken about Bucket's Ana all day long. It always gets matched up with Kip Soldier. That is their go-to defense for the first pointer for Gigantti. Opting towards the full dive. Understandably, there is a lot of vertical space around this first point. You want to make sure you can contest British Hurricane no matter where they sit.
Neil's already on that high ground, contending with Happy Cool on the D.Va. He's got that Orb of Harmony to keep him healed up. Ripper's going to give him one of his own as the payload still stays in motion. Moving around that first corner, gets a dink, but nothing more with those shurikens, and it's very slow paced.
A slow start to such an important round of Overwatch. Never thought you'd imagine it.
They don't want to make any mistakes.
Here goes the dive.
They're diving straight in. Davin's already found Crusade. He's found a second one onto Fusions. This guy, he wants to make sure that this time when he wins a Contenders final, someone picks him up. Doc Bot is there to shut him down. Craggy onto Nil. Master with the D-Mech. The support duo 2v1ing the D.Va in their face. And Craggy, he's sitting on that pulse bomb. He's having to fall back because the payload is in motion in Team Gigantti. There's too many of them as Cloudy will shut down the Doc himself. And they're moving on and pushing them outside of the market. Everyone is showing up in this kill feed. This is a team effort for Team Gigantti.
We spoke about Craggy earlier on and said that when Gigantti remove him from the field, Hurricane lose a certain sharpness of their play. Understandably so. Tracer is a very big contributor to any style of play that a team might rock. That's what you see here in most compositions. But now that everyone's back on the field, this is the final fight for the first point, Tridd.
Nil's popping off again. Crusade and Happy Cool. They're 2 notches in his blade, looking for more deflecting attack fires if he's going to have to run away. That's a nano-boosted Winston he's trying to hide from, but the juice has worn off. He'll cut through another. LH Cloudy takes it at the source, and he goes for the Goomba stomp on the KYB. They've forced it out into the second stage. Nil has got that Dragon Blade, and the rest of Gigantti are not far behind him.
More flexibility being shown by Hurricane. This time it's Kib going across onto the Widow. Happy needs to stay on that D.Va because, again, of the vertical ground around this map. No real switch coming out of Gigantti to try and match this, though. They are sticking with full dive. Why fix what ain't broken?
Halfway down the map. They just have to hit that yellow ticker on your screen, and they got 4 minutes before they get another checkpoint. The Britain down. With British Hurricane, they're split. Half of them, the Vanguard, they've gone onto the back line with a primal race to back them up, and the rest of their back line are still around the church, having to deal with the dive from Team Gigantti. It's all David causing some harassment as KYB on the back line wants to take him out. Cloudy relieves the pressure by removing Craggy from the fight. Nil goes high. He's got the Dragon Blade. Going to hold on to it for now. Progress is still being made on that payload. No one's been able to stop it. But KYB, the notorious KYB, to make that very clear in this matchup, is on that Widow. He gets cut down before he can escape. Nil showing no mercy, and its only thing he wants is to make sure that Davin takes out that Crusade. He's going to move back around, get some healing. No, Craggy is there to take him out. British Hurricane, they may have lost one prong of their attack, but they're going to come back with another and push Team Gigantti back.
Nil may not be showing any mercy, but he's definitely showing the enemy mercy at the other end of his blade. And imagine that final cut down was very, very close, to be fair. Only a few HP left. Probably could have got it with shurikens had the blade expired. But being able to pick it off at least gives them a little bit more of a push. They've got to win this final fight, and they'll find themselves with a solid 4, maybe 4.5 minutes to go for that third and final
But they've
push.
got 3 minutes to move a couple of meters to keep Dorado alive for them.
Lucky timing.
Craggy already taken out Cloudy, so it's just a little bit too late for him. Valkyrie being used. You can see Genji's dashing around the map. Happy, he's been demeched. RCK is the one to do it to him. Sorry, but he had to in this instance. And Craggy moving around. He's going to keep himself alive with some help from his support. Kill feed, very slow Overwatch being played. Nil using the flex, maybe a little bit early, the Discord orb, and Kip comes from out of nowhere and sideswipes him with the Genji of his own. To British Hurricane defeat Team Gigantti again, and they burn themselves some extra time.
It was really unfortunate for Gigantti because at the very start of that one, LH Cloudy dropped just as Ripper brought out the Transcendence. So literally, he was half a second earlier on that ultimate. Cloudy would have been alive, and that fight could have played out very, very differently.
Ripper already getting attention from Fusions. He has to back out though because the rest of Gigantti was ready to retreat. Popping the Primal Rage, going for the environmental kills, but Kib taking out Davin in the chaos as LH Cloudy very close to getting a Primal Rage of his own. But while this has been stalled out, they know they can't make this push without their Tracer. So they're going to wait for Davin to respawn, which just keeps burning down time. But they've got 1 minute 40 to go fractions of meters.
It's a game of small margins. It's my favourite term this weekend, and I think this match in particular epitomises that. Let's see though if they can make it work for them. They've almost got the Primal Rage available on Cloudy, which is sure to disrupt this a little bit for them. Here comes Nil's Blade.
Yeah, with a Dragon Blade trying to cut through the Valkyrie healing. He can't do it, and Fusions jumps straight back up where he went down to remove Nil from the fight. Happy Cool taking out LH Cloudy. Gigantti are committing so much, but they keep hold of the Primal Rage and the sound barrier as British Hurricane force them back. Their next push is going to come with less than a minute to spare.
They are not going to have much time to play with. In fact, Davin manages to bring down Craggy in that War of the Tracers once again, but he will be back online before Gigantti can get this push on. Hurricane once again showing almost impeccable ultimate management. Despite wiping them out 3-4 times in a row, they have still got 4 ultimates on side, and Fusions is not too far away.
50 seconds for British Hurricane to hold, and they will give themselves a new European champion. But Team Gigantti, if they want to defend this title, they've got to make sure it goes the extra mile. Sound barrier being used. Cloudy already removing Bucket. Fusions takes out one Kid with the blade onto Ripper. They've lost both their supports. They should fall by the wayside unless Nil can pop off in a massive way. Having to retreat. They need to be quick if they want one more coordinated push. There's a monkey chasing him down. They want to stagger Nil as much as possible. 3 HP and 20 seconds on the clock. Nil is going to be late to this fight. Can Gigantti do it without him?
One final chance, to literally 10 seconds on the clock. That's all that separates Hurricane from a title and defeat here. Potentially to get that extra push if it goes to it. Gigantti's final chance now. This is their last rodeo, Tridd.
Davin gets the D-Mech. He jumps in with LH Cloudy. We've already seen it returned by Kid, but he's the one who finishes off the exposed Diva. Something that couldn't be done. Overtime, whittling down. Fusion finds Master. Cloudy trying to stay alive. Nil cuts through Crusade. Levels the playing field with the supports. They're sitting in Transcendences. They're being traded. Crag with the pulse on to Cloudy. Fusion.
They're doing it, Tridd!
Kip taking out Davin. We have a new European champion. It is British Hurricane.
You can see it in the players' reactions. You can see it backstage. We saw Shifty sprints out there. There he is on stage himself. Ladies and gentlemen, British Hurricane bring down last season's champions and show us that there is a new champion in town.
You say Shifty, I say Swifty, because he jetted out of there onto the stage to go and congratulate his team, along with Funny Astro, who was from this side, had to watch from the sidelines and give over control to his team to let them come out with the victory. And they need to go and congratulate Team Gigantti, because that was one hell of a series, and what an intimidating opponent to cement yourself as a European champion.
Gigantti have been through one hell of a ride, not the strongest group stages, almost revitalizing as a team when it came into playoffs and reminding us why they were champions. And I think today they have given us the performance of a champion.
Gigantti, they can hold their heads high. If they would have come in and had a similar performance from group stage, hit that 0-4, then fair enough, I can understand the disappointment. I know it's rough, guys. I know you just missed out on greatness, but you are already great in my books. You guys put on one hell of a series, and I hope you understand that we will be seeing you next season, and I hope you come back stronger than ever.
Everyone's got to take a breath. Grand final, and I can't wait to see what comes out of both teams next season.
Absolutely, and what a way to be backing the right team there, because you got to remember, British Hurricane, the only academy team in Europe, and they've done it with the support of London Spitfire, with the excellent backroom staff of Nuki and Shifty. These guys have turned around. They were the fan favorites, and they delivered.
Honestly, so drained now. That is just the peak of Overwatch that you want to see, I think, in any region, where it comes down to a final push being the difference maker between victory and defeat.
Well, that's all from me and Dez for this final. We've had our points on it. Let's see what our analysts thought of that amazing series.
There you have it. You have your winner, your European champion for Season 1, British Hurricane. And lucky for me, I got 2 Brits on the desk, so they're smiling and happy right now. What an impressive performance from this team.
Maybe smiling and happy, but my heart still breaks for Gigantti. And I know it may be premature, but I really want to give a shout out to Nil. I personally doubted Nil a little bit coming into this, but this man showed up. He showed me in particular, he showed everyone on the analyst desk, but this man was born to be a champion. He didn't show up in group stages, but boy, this match, he did it. He really did.
He did try so hard at the end. Him and Davin fending off British Hurricane. The mere moments of just him and Davin alive kept them in the game, I'd say about 1 minute and 30. Like, his tanks were kind of rolling in, dying over and over again, but he was the one on the Genji just trying to avoid as much damage as he possibly could, and Davin doing exactly the same. Just a fantastic job from both of them, but it was a Hurricane victory at the end of it all.
Let's chat about Hurricane, though. They have been the favorites since they came in. We saw them falter somewhat in the group stages, but since then, they have been strong, they have been powerful, and they walked in today, even though Gigantti took them to the wire, every single one of those players popping off in that final.
Small missteps. And you can see just how studious this team are, just how much they care about winning, because they addressed them even mid-match. In our earlier analysis segment, we said they were leaving their supports behind a lot, but in Dorado, we saw the exact opposite. We saw they went back, they helped out Crusade, they helped out Bucket, and that really helped them to secure that win.
Yeah, Fusion specifically on that one. Sorry, Sam. Fusion specifically on that one. He was not only like double killing the supports, which he does like so many times throughout this entirety of the group stages, quarterfinals, and everything. It's more on him, on it all honesty, than Craggy is to actually take out the supports and forces the trance. He was managing to do that and then just sweeping back, collecting his, and then just sweeping forward and just pushing forward with that great momentum. Without any healers, Gigantti, they were all but gone.
Let's take a look at Hurricane's journey to this final win. We can see who they played up against, of course, beating Team Gigantti, but they've had a really good run all the way through. Who is your MVP, Legday, for the game?
My MVP for the game, like I said earlier, despite the loss, my MVP is Nil, because he was so impressive regardless of my expectations, and he came up on so many heroes, and he was always a threat.
Okay, we now have Crusade from British Hurricane standing next to me. We get to chat to you, Crusade, before this, and in fact, many times before your games during the season, you used to tell me that your biggest weakness was momentum. We've spoken about it non-stop. How did you pull it back in the last map? Because suddenly, momentum wasn't a weakness for you anymore.
Now, momentum has always been our thing. Like, we always, like, if we're winning in the game, then we're always going to keep pulling that forward. And right now, we had a few losses. Gigantti played really well, but we kept our calm. My heart is shaking right now. We kept our calm, and yeah, we just managed to pull it back, and we won Dorado, which is also our worst map.
Worst map, but you still won it. You got it together. Who is your MVP on your team?
MVP on my team? I don't know who's our MVP. Like, I think everybody played exceptionally well. I don't think I can get one winner for this one. Yeah.
We couldn't choose an MVP, so obviously I was going to try and make you do it. But it's fine, whatever. You don't have to do that. It's okay. We'll just leave me hanging here. That's fine.
Sorry.
I do have a question, though, that I know you have the answer to, because you are now the European champions, which means very soon you get to go up against the North American champions, because, of course, we have our North American finals next, and after that, we have that Atlantic showdown. Are you going to bring it? Are you guys going to win that final?
We are definitely going to bring it. Like, we've been talking to Gigantti about it as well. Like, whoever wins, like, we're super good friends with Gigantti. Whoever wins, we're going to show Ane what EU is capable of, and we'll show him.
You're going to show them. There you go, Fighting Talk. Your champions for Season 1 for Overwatch Contenders Europe. It is British Hurricane. When we return, we get to find out who gets to claim that title for North America. We'll be back after this short break.